The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew. Jesus told his disciples this parable. The kingdom of heaven is like a landowner who went out at dawn to hire laborers for his vineyard. After agreeing with them for the usual daily wage, he sent them into his vineyard. Going out at about 9 o'clock, the landowner saw others standing idle in the marketplace. And he said to them, "You too go into my vineyard, and I will give you what is just." So they went off. And he went out again around noon and around 3 o'clock and did likewise. Going out about 5 o'clock, the landowner found others standing around and said to them, "Why do you stand here idle all day?" They answered, "Because no one has hired us." He said to them, "You too go into my vineyard." When it was evening, the owner of the vineyard said to his foreman, "Summon the laborers and give them their pay, beginning with the last and ending with the first." And those who had started about 5 o'clock came, each received the usual daily wage. So when the first came, they thought they would receive more, but each of them also got the usual wage. And on receiving it, they grumbled against the landowner, saying, "These last ones worked only 1 hour, and you have made them equal to us, who bore the day's burden and the heat." He said to one of them in reply, "My friend, I'm not cheating you. Did you not agree with me for the usual daily wage? Take what is yours and go. What if I wish to give this last one the same as you? Or am I not free to do as I wish with my own money? Are you envious because I'm generous? Thus the last will be first, first will be last." The Gospel of the Lord. The last will be first, and the first will be last. Well, that doesn't sound very fair. It sounds backwards. In our dealings with each other, we expect life to be fair. The Peanuts cartoon, Sally said, "All I want is my fair share, and you could better give it to me. I want my fair share." In our culture, we can view ourselves as privileged, above other people. We're better than they are. That's what's going on in this parable with the workers. The ones that came at the beginning of the day put themselves above the rest. And if they get something, they should get more. They should get more because they're special. We all want to be special in God's eyes, but not at the exclusion of other people. Thinking that life has to be fair is a concept that most of humanity hasn't had. I don't know if it's an American or Western civilization idea that sprung up at some point in our development, but somehow life is supposed to be fair. We're supposed to get our fair share. The word daily is used 4 times in Matthew's Gospel. Emeros in Greek, emeros. One time is in the Our Father, chapter 6, verse 1. "Give us this day our daily bread." Not the week's bread, or the month's bread, or the year's bread. Give us today our daily bread. Matthew uses those same words in this parable, daily. Uses it 3 times, daily wage. The people at the time of Jesus, most of them were so poor, they needed to be paid at the end of the workday. They couldn't wait for a 2-week paycheck or be paid once a month. They needed to buy dinner now. They needed that money now. And so it was a common practice to pay workers every day. At the end of their shift, they get paid. And so this issue of fairness, that somehow I deserve more, is not in keeping with the gospel. The landowner asked the workers, "Am I not free to do as I wish? Are you trying to control me according to your sense of fairness? If I give the people at 5 o'clock the same as you, and you've agreed to that wage, what business is it of yours that I'm generous with the 5 o'clock people?" It's important that we think as God thinks, and that's a theme throughout all of these parables we've been listening to for the last several weeks in the Gospel of Matthew. A few weeks ago, we had Peter, who got it in his head that he was going to talk Jesus out of going to Jerusalem. He says, oh no, Lord, you're not doing that. Jesus said to him, "Get behind me, Satanas. You're in my way, Satanas, something in the way. Because you are not thinking as God thinks, but as people think." And so out these parables, we hear the kingdom of heaven is like. The kingdom of heaven isn't like what we would expect. All of these parables, it's different. It's not how we would have written these parables. We would have written them differently. But as Jesus presents them, then they're given to us as an icon, as a picture, as a presentation, as a revelation of how the kingdom of heaven is. And Jesus will say in another part of the gospel, the kingdom of heaven is here. It's now. It's not something out past the stars. The kingdom of heaven is here. And with the coming of Jesus, it is here in this world. And so we're called then to be disciples of Jesus. Think as Jesus do. Not think of how the world thinks about that's mine and I want more. I want to amass some kind of huge amount of something. I want to hoard it. You can't have it. But we're here to be part of a community, to look to the common good. It's not just what's good for me. It's what's good for all of us as community. What helps all of us? It's the idea that boats rise and fall together. If I have it well, you should have it well. In tough times, we're in tough times together. But we'll get through this. And we're called then to remember that we are a communal people. And that's what these workers were forgetting. They thought it was all about them. It wasn't. It was about all of these workers working together for the landowner. And that as he paid the first ones what they had agreed to, so he was extremely generous to the 5 o'clock people. The irony of all of this, there's much irony in the parables. The irony in all of this, there aren't any 6 o'clock in the morning people in reality. They don't exist. There are no first of the day. We're all 5 o'clock people, all of us, no exception. We all came to work in the field at 5 o'clock. And God then is paying us, as this landowner, with generosity. You didn't earn it. Don't deserve it. I put in a day's labor. No, you didn't. You just got here. You just got here. And that we have what we have because of God's generosity. Just like this landowner. He's generous to the 5 o'clock workers. That's us. No exception. We're all 5 o'clock people. And what God gives us, we haven't earned it, and we don't deserve it. And so it's important that we think of ourselves as part of that 5 o'clock group. None of us is above anybody else. We're all the same in this. We're all the children of God. It's important then, as we live out as community, that we think of what's good for all of us. We're all living according to the generosity of God. We've earned none of it. What can we do as members of this community, as members of Christ's body, to live with one another in harmony and justice, realizing we're all in this together. No one is better than the next person. We're all the children of God. We're called then to be grateful for the gifts that God has given us. We're called then to be good stewards. Appreciate what the Lord has given us at the end of the day, because we deserved none of it. And be thankful for it, and then in the spirit of stewardship, share it. Share it out, don't hoard it. It's the daily wage. Don't hoard it, give it, because we all need the daily wage. So we'll call then to reach out to each other on a daily basis and take care of our needs.